The Generation Select subline sometimes feels a little weird to me. On the one hand, it's a place where they can put out slightly more expensive, limited run repaints of figures in decos too obscure for mass release. Everything about the branding screams online only special edition for only the biggest nerds. But on the other hand, they keep just showing up in shops, with their windowless boxes being quite unhelpful unless you already know what WFC-GS24 Ramjet means. Anyway, here's WFC-GS24 Ramjet that I found in a local shop for about half price. So WFC-GS24 Ramjet, or simply Earthrise Ramjet but in his 90s Generation 2 colours, is a redeco of a retool of the Earthrise Seeker mould, and as such is basically the old classic Seeker, but bigger and with more modern engineering and articulation. So it ends up feeling almost like a remaster of that old toy, improving upon it, sure, but not really innovating. But considering that the classic Seeker mould was pretty good, I can't exactly blame him for that. Now, the one thing I've never really liked about Ramjet's design, and I suppose Dirge's by extension, is how the wings sit so inelegantly off the legs. They're just kinda there. So I was incredibly pleased to see that they came neatly folded away in the package, so you can have him with his classic look or with a slightly smoother one if you like. And I do. The blue and purple here work really nicely against each other. If I'm honest, I vastly prefer this to his original colour scheme, but then I do have a thing for purple, so that's not really surprising. Although the face does kinda get a little lost in there with it being solid black, even if I appreciate the luscious golden eyes for you to get lost in. His posability is similar to a lot of modern figures, but it does feel like a little bit of a downgrade when compared to the Siege Seekers, who just had a bit more going on in that department. But then again, their transformations are very different, so I'll give them a pass on this one, as it would require a hefty redesign to accommodate a waist swivel, for example. Although, I do wish that the knees tabbed in a bit more securely, as they do keep popping out every time I move them. The transformation is, again, pretty much just the classics one, but the legs and arms collapse a little differently, turning him into a lovely purple jet with his own name written on him, because by G2 they'd pretty much just given up on the disguise part of robots in disguise entirely. I particularly appreciate the detail in the cockpit, and his lovely colour scheme pops just as well here as it did in robot mode. Overall, it passes the "do I want to whoosh it around the living room making airplane noises like I'm an 8-year-old" test, which is all you can ask of a toy plane, really. Also, he can still do this, so I'm happy. So, Gen Select's G2 Ramjet. I've got some quibbles with him, but overall he's pretty fun and he makes for a nice companion to some of the G2 stuff that's been coming out of Legacy. Also makes for a nice companion to Hotlink in the Purple Seekers Who Aren't Skywarp collection.